All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're back here talking about the Utah Jazz. We're currently number one in the Western Conference. They're on a 4-game heater, and here are their 4 wins. The Lakers, the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Hawks. These are all solid basketball teams. I don't care. Say what you want to say about the Los Angeles Lakers. I get they have the worst offense rating in the league, but they're a top 5 defense when healthy, and they've been healthy. They've got AD out there. These are still good wins, all right? These are still good wins. These are wins, and keep in mind, 3 of those were on the road. These were not wins the Utah Jazz were projected to win before the season began. So, Utah can go a number of different ways. I've been seeing a couple articles. We talked about it on my show today. If they're going to trade away guys like Connolly, if they're going to trade away guys like Clarkson, Rudy Gay. I'm curious to hear what Jazz fans want to do because you have a ton of draft picks. You also have your young talent. You got guys like Walker Kessler. You have first-round guys. You got Oche. You have young talent. Jared Vanderbilt, extremely underrated. I'm curious to hear what Jazz fans want to do because, if I'm Jazz, I don't like to evaluate teams through at least 20 to 25 games. That's when I take a look at a team. So, maybe if Utah, and I'm going to knock on wood here because I don't want this to happen, if Utah per se went, lost 8 of their next 10, maybe that's when Danny Ainge sits down and he starts to, scheme up something. Let's be real here. Danny Ainge is already scheming something up. He's already got he's got a whole bunch of different options. He's got a bunch of different plans, I would imagine, that can be set into place with a snap of fingers. So, if Danny Ainge is your GM, if Will Hardy is your head coach, I wouldn't be worried at all. And it really seems like, I've been making a lot of Jazz videos recently. If you guys want more Jazz content, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Go ahead, show some love down below. Let's try and get this video to 100 likes. It doesn't seem like Jazz fans are really tweaking. It doesn't really seem like they're all too stressed out about this upcoming season. So, the cool part about Utah is you have what are they, 4? Yeah, they're the 4th best offense. They're actually number 1 in points at 118.8. They've actually only given up the 4th amount of points, but they have the 10th best defensive rating in the NBA. So, you have a top 10 offense, you have a top 10 defense, and it's really cool. And I'll pull up their player stats right here because I saw I forget who it was. It might have been Sideline Sources. It was something on Instagram or Twitter, and they were showing these possible new All-Stars, and Lauri Markkanen clearly was on that list for Utah. Here are his stats. I mean, he's shooting 53% from the field. He's shooting a solid 34% from downtown, a beautiful 88% from the free throw line. But he's giving me 23 points, 9 rebounds, 2.5 assists, over half a steal a game, and just about a block a night. So, Lauri Markkanen, here's the bottom line. Here's the way I see things. And I'll loop Jordan Clarkson in here too because he's, essentially changed his game. It's just so cool. He's always been a phenomenal scorer, but he's doing everything right now. Jordan Clarkson's giving me 19 points, 4.5 rebounds, 5 assists. He's shooting 41% from downtown. The thing is, Jordan Clarkson he's on the cusp of making the All-Star game as well. It's just, it's guards. The Western Conference has a bunch of superstar guards. So, I don't know if Clarkson will end up making that All-Star appearance, but you essentially have 2 guys who are playing at an all-star level, and then you just have, they're 2 really solid players in itself, but you have these guys who I feel like, they were given opportunities on previous teams. Mike Conley, if you've been watching my Jazz videos, you know my thoughts on Mike Conley. He's one of the most underrated players, definitely one of the most underrated point guards of my personal generation. I've been watching Mike Conley play basketball for a very long time now, and he's always been underrated. He's always been severely underrated. So I got a lot of love for Mike Conley. I remember the Memphis days. He was a stud. And once again, when you watch the Jazz games, you really realize how valuable this guy is. 15. He's averaging 12 points right now, 8 assists, but he'll give you 15 points with 4 threes, 3 threes, and 8 to 10 assists on any given night. I mean, he is. He can also go for 20 and 10. Mike Conley still has it, still got plenty of gas left in the tank. Kelly Olynyk, if you've been following this channel or if you're new to this channel, I still do cover the Houston Rockets. And my first year covering Houston was when we traded away James Harden, and later on in the season we got 20-point-per-game scorer Kelly Olynyk. So I'm very familiar with Kelly Olynyk. I'm very familiar with his game, and He's shooting extremely efficient, 57% from the field, 57% from downtown. He's giving me 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal and a half a night. Kelly Olynyk is rock solid as well. And then joining those guys in the starting lineup, you have Jared Vanderbilt, who, I don't know if you guys have been watching the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're missing these guys. I mean, so is Cleveland, right? So is Cleveland, Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton. The Timberwolves are really missing Jared Vanderbilt, all right? Especially on the defensive end, he is extremely valuable. But we're seeing something which is really cool to see. We're seeing, first off, he's giving me 9 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal and a half. He's shooting 57% from the field, and he's shooting 50% from downtown. So Jared Vanderbilt, one of those underrated players. Now, here's where things get interesting, because on my show today, I had a lot of people saying that the Utah Jazz's issue is depth. I don't see that. I don't necessarily agree with it. Now, just like every team in the NBA, or just about every team in the NBA, if 2 to 3 players were to go down, yeah, maybe depth might become a little bit more prevalent, might become more of an issue, but that's every team in the league, right? So Malik Beasley, Colin Sexton, THT, who I am so huge on. I know he's shooting just 25% from downtown this season. He's not a great shooter, but he's a freak athlete. He's got the longest arms I've ever seen he's just got super long arms, which makes him a stud on defense. So it's cool to see Talen getting about 17 minutes a night. But to me, what's really cool is Malik Beasley and Colin Sexton. Malik has come through for them in a couple of starts. It's the same with Colin Sexton. But Sexton is, when he's cooking, he's a microwave. He's literally just a microwave. It was that first game against the Lakers where it was, I think, 3 straight possessions, somewhere in the third quarter where he just drained 3 straight threes. And it was, he can give you, even if he's averaging 14 points a night this season, 38% from downtown. Even if he's giving me that, he's capable of doubling it. Colin Sexton's capable of dropping 30 points on any given night, whether he's starting or coming off of the bench. He's a microwave. So I don't have concerns with the bench. I get Rudy Gay's up there in age. Rudy Gay has not had an efficient season thus far. He shoot, 33% from the field, 21% from downtown. Jeez, that's not the Rudy Gay we all know and love. So, I know Father Time is knocking at the door, but, Rudy Gay will figure it out. And then you got Walker Kessler, who's giving me over the block and a half a night. He's giving me rebounds, giving me actually over 2 offensive rebounds a night, giving me 5 rebounds, 6 points. Him and Oche, I'm just very big on as rookies. And I like that they're getting early rotational minutes on this Jazz team, which is just, nobody can figure out how to guard them. And obviously, I don't personally have the Utah Jazz as a final contender. They will you'll eventually be able to figure out how to guard them, especially lacking, necessarily superstars. When we get into the playoffs, those are the guys who just kind of can take over games. However, right now, Lauri Markkanen and just the Jazz team-oriented basketball, they're taking over games, they're closing games, they're starting games well. So, who really knows? I don't personally have the Utah Jazz winning the NBA Finals or getting to the NBA Finals, but they certainly look like a playoff team, being the first team in the Western Conference, and honestly, in the future, the sky's the limit. So I'm curious to hear what you Jazz fans have to say, or if you're not a Jazz fan, you're just an NBA fan watching this video, first off, hit the like button, hit that sub button, drop a comment down below on where do you see this Jazz season finishing.